Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Rod is back. So Rod got married last week. So he is back married. Somebody said something about me making my co-host get married because Julian got married while he was co-host on here too.
I thought it was part of the contract.
You have to get married. We are joined by LL Below Me, Handmade and Beyond. He primarily helps with Etsy, which we haven't really had anybody on that helps with Etsy. So if you guys have Etsy questions, definitely throw those in. And catty corner to me is Rebekah Allison. She has been on with us before. She primarily does Poshmark. So we've kind of got some different platforms for you guys tonight. So if you have questions about those platforms, definitely throw them in the chat. I'm going to let the two guests introduce themselves, and then we will get to your questions. So here is LL.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, Kat. I appreciate you having me on the show. And I was at Rod's wedding, so I can verify he wasn't trying to get out of last week's show. He did actually get married. Beautiful wedding. Like Kat said, LL, I primarily specialize in helping Etsy sellers start, build, and grow their businesses. But I'm not foreign to Etsy or eBay. I've been on eBay since I think 2001, and I actually got started on eBay because me and Rod went to college, and he showed me eBay and was selling a bunch of stuff on eBay. So I got involved in doing the same type of things that he was doing, not to the scale that he was doing. He used his dorm room like a storage unit, had a bunch of stuff all over everywhere. It's crazy. So I've been selling off and on eBay for years. And I primarily shifted from eBay to Etsy in 2014 because I started a screen printing business and selling apparel, graphic design, shirts. And Etsy, I found Etsy, so I figured I'd try it out, and it started doing really well. So I just pivoted my business to Etsy and been doing that ever since. But I still sell here and there on eBay, and definitely know enough to be dangerous, but don't know everything. I know a lot more about Etsy, but again, I'm still learning every day. And I have a podcast, Handmade and Beyond podcast, Handmade and Beyond YouTube channel on the socials for there. So those are geared to helping Etsy sellers, with courses and learning materials and guides and things of that nature to help people with their businesses through Etsy.
Perfect. Here is Miss Rebekah.
Hey guys, I'm Rebekah Allison, and I'm a full-time reseller and YouTuber. So I'm also present over on YouTube, and I love making a lot of thrifting videos. I'm mostly focused on clothing, like shoes and accessories as well, but clothing is my specialty, and I mostly resell on Poshmark. So I do make some like how-to videos and that kind of thing as well, but the majority of my focus is on just reselling on Poshmark and then sharing that journey along on my YouTube as well. So I do a lot of things over there, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So I'm excited to see some people out here in the chat today from my channel too. So thank you guys for joining us.
I think Kat is frozen.
My internet's acting up. Let me take her off big. Hold on.
I mean, I can keep talking. I don't mind.
Why will it not go? I'm clicking it. Ron, see if you can click.
I got it. I got it.
Wait, I don't want to be big.
You're not big.
You're not big.
My internet was freezing up, and I'm like, let me fix it before she's done talking. I was trying to hurry. So
sorry, I could have talked
longer. What questions that we have? You didn't know, though. I had no way to tell. Like, my regular internet was acting up, so I had to like activate the hotspot on my phone and switch it. And yeah.
Wow,
so, Miss
I know that was really fast.
Now it's freezing up again. Hopefully it'll behave. Diane says, I purchased an eBay shipping label and it said no insurance. It gave me the options to purchase insurance and signature on delivery. I thought eBay insurance was included. It was with USPS parcel post.
Isn't it included until like a certain amount is automatically covered? To, I believe,
only for priority. So parcel post has no insurance.
Oh, I'd missed the parcel.
Medium mail is no insurance. So that's where you are getting switched up. So if you do here's a catch too for you eBay sellers. If you do calculated for parcel post, it is exactly what it costs, and you're going to pay the fees on shipping. But on priority, you get a 30% discount, and you do not get that with parcel post. So if you put parcel post, you're paying the fees and you're not getting insurance. So it's the cheapest option for you and your buyer, but you get no and actually a lot of times priority ends up cheaper with the discount though.
Yes, for the seller it ends up cheaper because the buyer will still pay the regular priority mail fees, but then you get the 30% discount when you are buying your label. So at the end of the day, you may make an extra $1 or $2 to cover your boxes or your supplies. So I would personally, I never use parcel post to ship anything.
Yeah. And I've been doing USPS retail ground because the pricing's a little more than parcel post, and I can normally ship it at priority, but it doesn't charge the buyer as much. That's what I've been doing. Northwoods Flipper, doing my first Whatnot sale next week. Is there an ideal number of items to sell?
Yeah, I signed up for Whatnot, but I have not used it at all yet. So that's beyond me.
I would say doing the 50 is pretty much what I would do. I've only done a few Whatnot sales, though. I know Kat has done a lot more.
So when I went through the training with Whatnot, they said that their goal is for sellers to start shows with 30 items and 10 buy it nows. So that's the target that they want when they do Whatnot. But it can vary based on what the type of inventory and what you're selling as well, too.
Yeah, so for me, I do 100 items plus what's in my buy it now. We run 100 items in 2 hours. I was doing freebies and I actually stopped because it was extra seconds that turned into an extra half hour that I didn't like. So if you're wondering why I quit freebies, that is why. I was like, it's taking me a half hour longer. And Dalton's already in bed, so I'm kind of ready to get done. I might bring them back. I haven't decided. I still have a ton of stuff to give away, but I think it's important to know, like, I have a following and I sell out every show. So if you're new and you don't have a following, I wouldn't expect that. So I think 30 to 50 would probably be a good number. I recommend doing 20 seconds. I do 15 seconds. I would do 20 because either people are going to bid or they're not going to bid. And 30 seconds is actually a long time to talk with nobody bidding on your item. Even 15 seconds with nobody bidding is a long time to like, does anybody want this thing? So yeah, I would say 30 to 50, but have more stuff ready. Like we sold earrings. Like people asked me if I had earrings. I display earrings on the stands that we make, and I just pull that stuff into the show. So last night, I think we did like 110 or 115. So an extra 10 to 15 items. And display expensive stuff in the back. So if they see it, they can say, hey, what is that? And then you can say, oh, that's not in the catalog. I have it at $50, but I'll start it at 30. That's what I would do, because you're not running it with no interest if it's a higher dollar item, but they see it over and over all night and can ask about it.
Speaking about Whatnot, Kat, do you have your new things that you've been making to show right now?
Not in here.
No.
Rod?
All right. Well, I thought
no, we're actually, you know what? We're actually sold out. My resin stuff, I completely sold out except 2 pieces, but I have some in molds, but it's cold. How cold is it down there for you guys? It's like chilly here.
So,
we just got a cold front today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a couple hours north of you guys. I think it's like we got in the low 40s last night, and I think it's getting in the 30s tonight. So my point of that is my resin in the house didn't sit as fast as it didn't cure as fast as I was hoping. So I couldn't take anything out of the molds tonight. So I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow. And I will have some tomorrow night. But yeah, they sold out. I've been doing resin. Brad's been doing wood, but we're sold out of pretty much both of them, and both of us have been sick, so we haven't been feeling like making much. Brad got back out there tonight and did a custom order for somebody for a wedding.
That's a good problem
today.
to have, though. Selling out.
Yeah. My good friend Tiffany is in the house, Thrifting Vegas.
What's up, Tiffany?
Hi. Let's see. Mile High Mom. So LL, I think, can answer this. His answer and mine are the same. Mile High Mom says, I haven't sold an Etsy in years, but she's asking, is everyone getting their payments now?
I don't know if everyone's getting their payments, but I'm getting my payment. I got mine today. Someone said, I forget where I saw, I think it was on one of the Facebook groups that they said they got the notification, but it's not in their bank. I got the notification email and it was certainly in my bank. So I'm not sure why that person would have gotten it. And I don't know about the people last week that weren't getting them, if that came through.
Mhm.
And it's really weird because it almost seems like Etsy's been keeping it on the kind of like the hush hush. And they sent out like a blanket email to the people that weren't getting the payments, basically said, don't worry, you're going to get your payments eventually, we hope. So I'm sure they're going to get it fixed up. But there's not a lot of information out there from them, like a blanket statement press release saying like, here's what's going on for people that got the payments or didn't get the payments. So everyone's on the same page. At least nothing that I've seen. But
I mean, I really think they were waiting to see what was happening with the banks, because what I read was that they were 95% of the accounts with that bank were uninsured because they were all over $250,000, unfortunately, because they had a lot of Silicon Valley companies in there. So since the government is going to be stepping in to ensure that all those accounts now, I think now you may see more feedback or stuff coming in the next couple of days from Etsy. But I think that's what they were waiting to see what was happening, because they literally didn't know if all their money was going to be secured or not.
Yeah.
Which is a scary thing. But
yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm paid weekly and mine came through today. So I got mine. I haven't heard from anyone saying they still haven't gotten it though. So I'm assuming hopefully they did. This one's for LL. I'm assuming Teacher Treasure Chest. What tips do you have to be successful on Etsy?
Well, there's a lot of stuff. Like anything, really, honestly, there's a lot of similarities with, I think, success on eBay and success on Etsy, and it comes down to just consistency with listing stuff. I mean, the two platforms are very much alike in that, where you got to list consistently, give the algorithm basically like, feed the algorithm in daily, weekly, as much as possible, because that's going to show it that you're constantly working on your business, on your shop, and you're constantly giving it data, but it's also giving you the information that you need. If you're being consistent with listing regularly, you're going to grow your product database, and then you're going to start to get the data that you need to make future decisions. On Etsy specifically, you'll get visits or views. Views specifically, visits specifically are for unique buyers coming to look at your items or your shop. So the more unique buyer, you want as many unique buyers as possible. But if you're not getting those on certain listings and you're getting them on other listings, okay, well, let's start focusing on the listings that are bringing in traffic and sales and stop focusing on the listings that aren't. So that's really the biggest thing. The other thing too, with Etsy, the main thing that people miss is they don't have a clear defined niche when they're starting out. You see it especially with a lot of the POD, the print on demand shops. They come out of the gate and they just try to sell everything under the sun. And they're selling, baby stuff. They're selling mugs, everything under the sun. They'll have a couple listings of each, and it's not a clear defined niche. So the old adage is true. If you try to market to everyone, you're not marketing to anybody, because the algorithm doesn't know what the heck you're doing. You're not showing it that you're niching, your shop has a special expertise in a certain area. So you're much better off if you want to sell baby stuff. Okay, what type of baby stuff? That's a broad niche. So niche down. Do you want to specialize in bibs? Do you want to specialize in baby clothing? And then from there, you're niching down, and then you can specialize in certain types of subject matter within that baby niche. And then once you have that sub niche, that clearly defined niche, you can start releasing a lot of products related to that. 20, 30, 40 products related to that specific niche. And you're going to show the algorithm that, okay, if someone's searching for a baby outfit, they're more likely to send them to your shop if you have 50 type baby outfits or baby designs than this shop over here that has 2 baby designs, and then they're selling mugs and shelves, furniture and paintings, they're more apt to send them to your shop because you have that clear defined niche. So I would say those are the 2 biggest thing when starting out, especially your niche and the consistency with building up your shop and your product catalog.
That makes sense. Deja Vu Thrifting wants to know if any of us use third-party shippers, especially for parcels going international.
I don't. When I ship through Etsy or eBay, I just use the shipping programs that they have. The global shipping program through eBay, and then USPS for international through Etsy.
I have used a third-party shipper. If I'm sending out, sometimes I do like direct orders, and so it wouldn't be coming through an actual site. But I use Pirate Ship for that, and that usually gets me the best price.
Yeah, I've in the past I've used 2 outside platforms, and one was Pirate Ship, just like she just said, and I've also used PayPal, because if you take direct payment through PayPal, PayPal has their own shipping service, which you can ship through there too. But I would actually prefer going through Pirate Ship over PayPal, because you get a discount through the Pirate Ship, which you won't get through PayPal.
Yeah, and actually my Etsy international go to Etsy's processing. So really it is a third-party shipper. It's Etsy, because they're going to their sorting. eBay's the same. If you're using global shipping program, you're sending it to their warehouse, which is what I do for Etsy and eBay. And then I do what Rebekah does too. If it's off-site, I use Pirate Ship, which Pirate Ship has a sorting center as well. All of those aren't going directly to the customer. They're going to that platform sorting center unless you're directly sending it. But I'm pretty sure Etsy says like to processing center. I don't get a ton of international sales on Etsy, but I think they said that. Here's a question for Miss Rebekah. Kayla's asking, if I send an offer on Posh, it's making me discount the shipping. Is that required?
Yeah, so on Poshmark, the hard thing about sending offers is the easiest way is if somebody likes it to send them that offer automatically. And on that kind of an offer, you have to discount the shipping by at least, I think it's like $1.50 now to take it to $5.95. So if you want to do it that way, then yes, you have to. The workaround is if somebody likes an item, you can bundle that item for them. So you can go into that person's closet and then switch it to sell view when you're going to a bundle on their closet. And then you can add the thing that they liked to their bundle. And then you can make an offer to them without having to send that shipping offer as well. So depending on how important saving that $1.50 or $2 is to you, it's a little bit more time, but you can get around not having to send the shipping offer. And especially it's worth it, I find too, if you're having somebody that's like more than one thing from you. And if you're not using a bot service that automatically sends out offers for you, then I feel like it's worth it to go into their closet and bundle for them. You do save money on the end, but that's the kind of more difficult answer. But yeah, if you're sending just from a like a liker, and then you say, oh, send an offer, you have to include that shipping discount.
Yeah, and if they send you an offer, you don't have to discount it if you're countering them either. Most of the offers I get on Posh are like way lower and way worse than what I get on eBay.
Oh, it's horrible.
I blocked somebody, and I kind of was getting a little annoyed with them because we had like 20 offers between us and still had not reached, and they were like nickel and diming me, coming up by $1. And I'm like, I'm done with this. 20 offers later, I'll keep my vintage harmonica and you can find it elsewhere, which they probably can't, to be honest. I was just done with it. I wish Posh was like eBay, where they would give them a limit, like 3 or 5 offers, and they know like you have 1 offer left, instead of like, oh, let me raise it $1 and see what they do. And yeah, so I was like, I really don't need that $40 that bad. I was done with them.
That's the worst. I hate that.
I was just done with it. I was like I came down $5, you come up 1. This is not gonna work.
People on eBay send you an offer that a penny higher or something like that too. I've gotten those.
Oh,
I'll decline. Yeah, I'll decline those too. Or be a smart aleck and come back $1 below my asking price, or
A penny
depends on my
less.
mood. Katrina wants to know, how do I create a good photo setup for clothing? So like a lot of these questions are going to be opinion based, so we can tell you like what we've done for clothes. I think the biggest thing is going to be finding what works for you though, so we can share what we've done for clothes too.
Yeah, primarily I sell clothing. My Etsy shop is all clothing. So the best thing that I found is laying the clothing down on a floor that has some type of background that I know I'm going to remove the background later, so it's not a busy background, so it doesn't blend into the clothing when I'm trying to use a background remover tool. And then from there, I can do whatever I want. If I want to style it, tie it up in like the corner in like a little knot, or roll up the sleeves, create some extra wrinkles in the shirt just to show that it's not completely flat and has, it's a little bit more dynamic. Then I'll make sure I have, I use ring lights, and then I also have umbrella lights, and I try to surround it to eliminate as much shadows as possible. And then you just try to take a straight on shot I just use my cell phone, take a straight on shot without trying to create shadows. Cause sometimes it's hard depending on when the lights are, your arm's in the way, it creates a shadow. So you got to kind of maneuver a little bit to not create a shadow. And then from there, once I have a good photo, I'll usually use a program. There's tons of programs now that have background removers. Canva's one of them. I think Photo Leap's another one. So I'll use those to remove the background. And then once the background's removed, it kind of looks weird because it takes the edge is really sharp. So in order to give it, in order to make it pop a little bit more, I'll add a shadow behind it. Again, you can do that on Canva really easy. You can add a little shadow behind it, so it makes it more like 3D from there. So that's how I do it. It's worked pretty well for me, doing it that way. I've tried doing it where you get the little mannequin and you put it on the mannequin and you try to take pictures that way, and I can never get it right. There was just too many shadows, and it just never looked right to me. So I just stuck with doing it on the floor. Not to mention you have the mannequin in the corner of the room and you forget about it, and it scares the crap out of you when you walk in your office. So I got tired of scaring the crap out of myself, so I just put the mannequin away.
Jesus.
that's amazing.
I scarred myself.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. So I do it very different than he does, and I only sell clothing. So I know that there's many different ways to do it. But I actually just made a video where I went through my entire photo taking process. So I'm going to link that in the chat for you, Katrina. But my advice, at least for what I do, is I have a wall in my house, and I literally just have a nail in the wall. And then I have the same hanger. I have 100 of them. And then I hang things on that nail on the wall. And it's a light colored wall, but you can do it with any color as well. And I just step back enough to take a good picture. And then I know later on, I also use my phone as well, but I will go through and I use Photo Room, which is a photo editing app, but it's also free, and it'll white out my background for me. So I always do that for the first picture when I'm listing something. And so my first picture will have the whited out background, and then the rest of my pictures are just up against that wall hanging flat. And I've done flat lays before, and I've also, I think I've done a mannequin too. I just found for me, I would my back would kill me after doing flat lays. Maybe LL, you got a back of strength, but I was dying afterward. I would be like, Jeremy, I can't move for hours. So for me, at least for my back's sake, I couldn't lean like that anymore. So now I just stand up straight, and it works a lot better for me. And I find that I honestly even sell more this way, but of course, everybody's going to do it differently. Find out what works best for you, and do not harm yourself to take pictures. It's not worth it. It's so not worth it.
So for me, I've sold tons of clothes over the years and stuff, and I use all kinds of different methods. I mean, I've used a flat method in the past, especially because my old house had a hardware floor, so it looked really good with a hardware floor. And now we actually have a room dedicated to Posh and taking photos for clothing. And we actually have picked up a mannequin at a yard sale. So I got a female and a male mannequin in there that we do use. But I think the best thing, and I specialize selling vintage t-shirts or just t-shirts. That's something I enjoy picking up and something I always, look out for. And for me, I have a nail in the wall, just like she just said has, but I actually use what they call, it's like a super hanger. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar
The
with that.
Raleigh Roots hanger.
Yeah. So it's a regular one. You cut the ends off, another one, you just duct tape them together. And I got a big super
I
hanger.
have one of those.
That makes it, stand out more and you can see more. So the super hanger works really good. If you guys haven't seen that, you can go on Google. Go on YouTube. There's plenty of videos on those, but that little trick makes a huge difference to your photos. And then I use my phone just like everyone else, and I have a white wall, so I just have to touch up the photos just lightly there. So,
Rebekah, comment real quick so I can mod you so you can drop a link.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't find a comment from you, so if you comment, I'll mod you. So I actually take mine just like LL does. I do them on the floor. And I actually do them like right back here on the carpet, and there's a shop light right above, so we don't get any shadows on them. But I also have the super hanger, so I've done it that way. Like I told my assistant that if it hurts her back, we can lay them out on the counter if we need to. I know Tim over the years has like a slanted with like a felt fabric where he literally can just throw them on there and it sticks. And Richard was saying he's working on one that like folds down and folds back up, where it's at an angle. And I have a mannequin, but I use my mannequin for scarves mainly. I'm not trying to put clothing on and off a mannequin, but to hang a scarf on to display it, a mannequin works really, really good. So I think it really depends on like what you're listing. Like our t-shirts and jeans go on the floor. But I don't do it depends. Like Rebekah does a lot of clothing. We might have like 5 clothing pieces and then we're moving on to stuff that gets photographed up on the shelf. So we're not over and over and over, like up, down, up, down, up, down. So I would say, look at how much clothing you're doing. And yeah, maybe I used to, before we had the shed, I would photograph it laying on the bed. As long as you have good overhead lighting is the main thing. So you're not getting like shadows and stuff like that. And I just leave my harsh edges because I don't care. I don't put the shadow or anything. We just leave them how they are.
Pictures don't have to be 100% perfect, but still.
No, and it's funny because in a lot of my high dollar research videos, if you have popular, in demand, expensive stuff, your title and your pictures don't matter as much anymore. Yeah. I see so many like misspellings and like horrible pictures, and the stuff sells for $2,000. So if you have the right stuff, your photos and your title are not going to matter as much anymore. Do not buy one that is velvet like fabric, clothes stick to it. Well, but see, the thing is, if you have it at an angle and you want them to stick to it, like, I mean, like on a board, not on a mannequin, I have the mannequin with the little Paris thing. I think that looks good with the scarf, like the little, you know what I'm talking about?
We all know it. Yep.
That's a good touch.
I like it for scarves.
No, but I also, with the velvet though, when you're taking pictures of clothing, unless it's something that like has really thin straps, those velvet hangers are going to suck after a while. Just trying to get them on and off, like.
Oh yeah, and they break. The ones I have break.
Oh yeah,
they break.
Also, too, be careful taking black shirts on top of the mannequins because it does leave little black marks all over it, and then your other white shirts will pick those up because that happened to me, and it was not fun. So,
Snowberry Vintage wants to know if any of us have used Flip for cross posting.
I've never heard of it.
I've heard of it, but I haven't used it. I think I might have signed up for it. I think they've reached out to me or something, but.
Is it pretty new?
Yeah.
It came out within the last year.
I mean, it is, but not like new, like a year.
It's been around.
I think most people on here use List Perfectly for cross listing, and that works great. So that's what I use right now. I haven't used Flip, but I haven't heard many people actually use it or their experience with it. So I really have nothing to really say about it.
I went on there to look. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I went on there to look into it when it first came out, and I thought it was for cross posting and for I don't even know, like sharing. And then I was confused because the only thing I could find on it was to like buy from people or to sell to people, but like for them to resell. So I was a little confused about what its actual purpose was.
Yeah, and like Teacher Treasure Chest is saying, I love it. It works great. It's free. I've heard that. Here's another though. Here's Hala saying it's super slow. I kind of say you get what you pay for. If you want free and you want to go that way, then definitely go that way. But I've been using List Perfectly for almost 3 years now exclusively, so I wasn't even tempted to jump ship to Flip. Like saving that little bit of money for me is not really worth it, and it depends probably on how many you're cross posting too. We're posting 100 to 200 a week, so if I had a service that went slow, then I would be super frustrated. My mom would be frustrated. She gets frustrated when the internet goes slow with List Perfectly. And List Perfectly is founded by resellers, which I like too. Just like American Bubble Boy, Joel is super supportive of the reseller community. So to me, supporting businesses that are supporting us is super important. Sometimes more so than necessarily getting it for free. But yeah, so some people, if you want to try it because it's free. So it can't hurt to try.
I mean, just sharing your store, I think that's beneficial on Posh.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, if it's free and it does that, I mean, that would be worth anyone who sells on Posh just to try it out.
See, so Flip doesn't cross post to Etsy, which is a downfall. That would be a no-go for me. I actually, when I first started, I went with List Perfectly before I was affiliated with them at all. I went with them because they had Facebook Marketplace and Vendoo did not. That's what made me choose List Perfectly. They had the most platforms. So like for me, and now we've switched from Facebook Marketplace back to Mercari, but I want one that's going to cross post to all the platforms I'm on, which does include Etsy and those. So that would, for me, make it a no-go. Miss Eileen wants to know how everybody's sales have been lately.
Well, I don't have a lot listed on eBay right now. Etsy's been okay. It's been up and down. Usually the beginning of the year for me is a little up and down before it starts settling in. Towards summer, it'll usually start picking up for me. But in order for me to sell more on eBay, I need to get a little more listed. I think I only have like 50 or 60 things on eBay right now. I have a lot that I want to list. I just started talking about List Perfectly. I just started using it. Rod got me into checking it out, and it worked really good for me. I like the amount of platforms that you can cross post to. I just need to because I have almost 900 listings on Etsy, so I'm trying to get those back over to eBay and Poshmark. I used to sell a bunch on Poshmark. I kind of backed off of that to focus those platforms to focus more on Etsy. But now the goal this year, over the next couple of months, is to get all those listings back over to those platforms to capitalize on that stuff. Because for me, it's a little bit different. I'm not selling one-off things. I screen print my stuff so I can sell things multiple times. So the goal is to get those listings out to those different platforms so I can resell those as much as possible. But I do sell one-off things. I go treasure hunting and stuff and do sell one-off things on eBay sometimes. So.
Yeah, so my sales have actually been doing really well, but I also have been listing, which I wasn't doing a ton of in the past few months. So I'm kind of seeing a good upturn, even though it's the beginning of the year. Usually my sales are a lot slower right now, but something about this weekend in particular was really good for me. So I'll take it, like no questions asked. But yeah, and back to even our cross listing, like I use Vendoo, which is, not List Perfectly, but I feel like they're pretty similar and they do a good job. And I don't mind paying for it because obviously it pays for itself after a little bit. But yeah, so I'm trying to get some of my sales over to eBay and Mercari. I am cross-listing there, but this month I'm really trying to up those over there because I know everybody is crazy about eBay and I just need to get on it, up my sales over there, up my listings. I think that would be really good.
It's the second biggest marketplace right behind Amazon. So
I know, and I just am like so lazy. It's so bad.
when so for me, mine's a little bit different because I literally took off. I got married a week from today. I actually get married on Monday. I know it's weird, but so I took off. I got the Savannah on Saturday, so I actually stopped listing on eBay probably about 2 days prior to that. So I haven't listed on eBay in, I would say, about a week or so. So that definitely hurt my sales a little bit. The last 3 days, though, I've done over $1,000 in sales the last 3 days, which is good. So they are starting to, go an upward trend up, but it's because I started listing the last 48 hours again. So, when you list, you will see results because people search by 2 different ways. They're going to search by auctions ending or listings ending that day, or they're going to search by newly listed items. So the catch on both of those, if you list every single day, you will have something ending and something being listed every single day. So you'll hit one of those searches and you have a lot higher chance to actually get sales.
Yeah, so my eBay's 14% down from last month, but it's been really hit or miss. Either I do like really, really good or I do nothing. So like today's really slow. I'm at $59. We did 300 yesterday. Friday, though, we did over 700. So it's really, really hit or miss. It is down from where it was. But I think a lot of that, too, is like I haven't been sourcing higher dollar items. I bought a few and some actually sold over the weekend. You'll see on Thursday. And I just ordered a bunch more from another estate sale. So we've been working for my debts pile, which is probably items I looked over multiple times because they're bread and butter. They're not high dollar. So I have to kind of keep that in mind as well. And then like our Whatnot average is actually down by about $300 a show as well. So Whatnot's down a little bit. I was talking with Marsha Red Cardinal Treasures about it last night. And we're thinking maybe like with spring break coming up, a lot of kids are on spring break this week. Dalton's on spring break next week. So maybe that has something to do with it. But we had 1,400 go out this weekend, which wasn't bad. So not a horrible weekend for us either. Beach Walker sent a $5 super chat. We also, Rod, did you see the one from Susan? Is that before Susan's or after?
It's after, I think. I'm going through now.
Okay. I got Susan. Beach Walker said, what is the best way to get help putting categories in my store? Struggling with this, but she found her coupon. So I like on eBay, just FYI, you don't have to make your own categories. You can default to eBay's categories. So I do that because I sell so much varied stuff. I gave up on making categories. I just have mine go through eBay. So I think that's what she means is like making her own like categories for her store on eBay. Anybody?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, yeah. With when it comes to that though, is you can make your own categories. All you have to do is go in your store and in your settings, and you can make your custom categories. But like she said, I mean, if you're just selling a bunch of one-off items, and if you're an everything store, sometimes that could be more of a pain in the butt than anything else because you don't want to have one item sitting in just in a store category. It's just going to be all clustered. I would say if you niche down, there's certain things that you sell all the time. You could make a couple custom categories. Like for me, like I have one for action figures, one for like Disney items, one for clothing, men, female clothing, stuff like that. But then a lot of my stuff though, because I am an everything store, even though I specialize in the comics and other things, but a lot of my stuff goes in my other category on there because I honestly don't think it really matters. When people do search your store, they can actually just type at the very top of your store what they're searching for and not click on the category. So I wouldn't put a lot of emphasis on the categories, as other people do.
Yeah. Let me give Miss Lisa her super chat, Dolphin, and then I'll get Miss Susan, and then I see a $49.99 super chat from Miss Holla. Here is your Dolphin, Lisa. Dun, 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 dun. There's Miss Susan, sent a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. We'll give you Dalton on the Dolphin. We still don't have Brad on Dolphin, Richard. I'm sorry. Here you go, Miss Susan. Dun, 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 dun. Holla sent a $49.99 super sticker. Thank you so much. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Here is your dolphin.
Man, they all come in at one time.
I get to dance a lot. Camille sent a $4 super sticker. Thank you. I'm going to go back to my original dolphin one. Here you go. Super chat. What's up? Yeah. So I did Holla's store review. And help, but perfect. Got good sales after. I'm glad to hear it. Sometimes, guys, it's just a little bit of tweaking is all you need. It's one tiny thing, and it could make a big difference. My BFF is in the chat. Dale flipping the fiasco. Hi, friend. We miss you. Dale got a new job and left YouTube and left reselling. We still chat. So I'm glad to see her here, even if for just a few minutes. I am happy to see her here. Let's see. Miss Sherry said, what is something that, like, is there something that you have started collecting since you started reselling? Fun question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, the main thing that, I mean, I've been reselling for years, but recently I really started getting into sealed VHS tapes. So they're just fun to try and find out in the wild. I do buy several off eBay. I'm always on the hunt for different ones on eBay. And then once you get them graded, they're really cool to display. Like this one up here is my Terminator 2 graded one that I just got that I'm displaying. So it's pop culture movies, 80s movies, 90s movies. I mean, I've always been into it. So I think it's just really fun to be able to find those in the wild or buy them. Just kind of brings you back to your childhood. The Friday night going to Little Caesars Pizza, going to Blockbuster, and then you go home, you watch TGIF, and then after that, you pop your first movie open, and then you get to your second movie, fall asleep, wake up Saturday morning, watch cartoons, and then finish that second movie, and then you got to return them before the late fees on Sunday.
Be kind and rewind, my friend. Be kind and rewind.
So that's what I'm into right now.
So mostly I would say I go to the bins a lot. So I haven't meant to, but I've started collecting single shoes of things that I found in the bins that are like really good brands, but then I can't find the second one. So like I have tons, like a whole like a little collection of single shoes of like Rothy's and On Running and Hoka's and just like all these crazy things. But something more for fun that I've been collecting. My husband's really into like vintage video games and things like that. So every time I find a new gaming system or just like a cool, like, I don't know, GameCube game, it's like always going up on his shelf. So I'm helping contribute to his little like retro gaming corner. So I'm so selfless, just giving it all to my husband, but and the single shoes.
So do you know the single shoes actually sell really good on eBay?
Yeah, for people that are amputees.
Yes,
I know. And I've heard that, and I think I should do that, but I kind of like having a pile of single shoes. It's really
She
weird.
likes her pile of single
I
shoes.
like to collect them. Yeah. No, I need to sell them too.
Y'all got to collect something. So
like the land of misfit shoes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, I am a big collector. I like to collect a lot of things. That's actually how I originally got into reselling because my collection started becoming very expensive, and a way to counter my collecting. So what I like to collect is 80s toys like Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, the old WWF figures from like the big LJN ones or like the small Hasbro ones from the late 80s, early 90s. That's something that brings me back to my childhood. I'm also a huge video game collector. So if you guys see behind me, the whole row back, that's just NES games, Nintendo. So I would collect a lot of like vintage video games, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PS1. Some of the systems I grew up on, that's what I really enjoy doing. I'm also a big horror movie fan. So if you see all the horror movie posters behind me, anything horror related, me and LL actually have gone to a bunch of horror movie conventions, get to meet a lot of people and get, autograph items there, which is cool. So the whole process, just doing that all together is a lot of fun. And I'm also a huge VHS fan, and I do collect sealed VHS, and I do get them graded along with my graded comic book. So one of the big for me, collecting is also about challenges. And I like the process of collecting more than actually getting the collection. So many times throughout my life, I'll get a full collection of something, and then I feel empty because it's not about the actual collection. It's about the process of collecting the items. You know, the hunt. I like the hunt more than I actually like the collection. So sometimes when I do get a big, massive collection, I will sell it off and move on to something else because I enjoy the hunt more than the actual collections. But.
Yeah, so well, since I started reselling this time and got on YouTube, I collect dolphins because people send them to me. I like dolphins, but I don't typically buy them for myself, but I get sent them. So I have a collection of dolphin stuff. I also have started collecting raku pottery just because I really, really like it, but it has to be a really cool piece for me to keep it, not resell it. And then also sand art, Native American sand paintings. I absolutely love them. I don't have a ton. And same thing, they have to be really cool for me to keep them. I have 2 right now, actually, that are for sale for over $300. So if they're worth $300, $400, $500, I'm gonna sell them. I'm not gonna keep them. But I can look up and it's sitting right there and I can see it all the time, which is a nice thing about that. I want to point out, where did it go?
Do you rotate them as well? So if you do get new pieces, just rotate and put the other ones up for sale? Because I found myself doing that.
No, because they're all up for sale, but I will, like, I have limited wall space, so I will replace them. Like, I'll start looking for artwork again if some sell and do that. So listen, there is a help group for this, and it is by me, started on Facebook. I have a Death Pile Destruction group on Facebook that is exactly for that. I think how many members do we have, Marsha? We have over 10,000. I know we have a lot of members in our Facebook group, Death Pile Destruction. So there is exactly for that. So there is a help group for that. Rebekah, do you know the answer to this? Sue wants to know if Posh Lives are growing to the extent that Whatnot has.
I would say no. I definitely feel like they have dropped off. There are only a few people that I knew that started at the beginning that were like all gung-ho and doing, 5 a day. I only know a few people that have done any lately. I feel like it had its moment in the sun, and now it's like, oh, that's a lot of work, and you might not sell a lot. And then they have all those silent ones that have come through where people just literally put their phone like on the ground and then just put their things on auction. And so I don't get that. There's no talking. You just sit there and wait for the next piece to come up. I think that's really killed it.
Yeah, and I was just looking at what I had sold on Posh, and it looks like there are about 20-ish people in the lives. Whatnot. You see a lot of that. I tend to hold like 60, 70, up to 100 in my sales. I know some sellers hold 100, 200, 300. So yeah, I don't think it has. Richard wants to know if we use boxes we buy or boxes you pick up. I'm assuming he means like, are we buying our shipping supplies or are we kind of gathering them?
I don't use a lot of boxes. I use poly mailers because I ship out clothing, but usually I'll have, Amazon boxes or something laying around. If I have to buy boxes, depending on how many I need, I'll try to find them online because they're usually cheaper, but usually it's like a one-off situation where I'll run to Walmart, or if it makes sense to use the USPS flat rate box, I'll do that depending on what I'm shipping. If it's a lot of weight, sometimes it makes sense to do the flat rate boxes, and those are obviously free. So it really just depends on the situation for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, the majority of what I sell is on Poshmark, and so the great thing about Poshmark is that you can use all the priority mail things from the USPS.
Except for electronics, those little suckers. When did they pull that? Oh. Yes, so electronics, you cannot use priority. I caught that. Lynn was shipping out something we had, and somebody commented on my Poshmark video I just did last week. Poshmark, since they got bought out now, electronics have to ship ground and you have to use your own packaging.
Really?
Yeah, and they didn't tell anybody.
Oh, wow.
You print the label and they're like, do not use priority supplies. Yeah, they didn't tell anybody.
Does that shock you though that Poshmark didn't tell you anything about a change? I feel like that is just like common.
No, all the that's just like Etsy not putting out that their bank crashed. Like, no, why would they tell us something that would make too much sense, unfortunately? You know?
Well, dang.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
I found out about it right after I made that video, and somebody commented, and I was like, I found out after I made the video, but before I put it out, and yeah.
So for me, I actually use both. I use boxes that I buy and boxes that I find, just for the fact that I ship so much items out. So I use eBay's free. I have an eBay store, so I get a free credit to use to buy boxes. I just bought a ton of boxes from Supply Hut. My wife has a problem buying items off Amazon, so I have about 25 to 30 boxes.
Too. I'm not his wife.
So I have plenty. I have plenty of those to use. But other than that, or I go on Amazon and eBay to buy other stuff. But yeah, I try to save money in boxes as much as possible. But also too, a lot of new sellers don't do this. Go on the Postal Service website. You can order boxes to be delivered to your house, and they will do it early, because sometimes they do take weeks to get there. But literally, I just had 400 boxes show up for free from the Postal Service. So.
Yeah, my mail lady hates me when I do it, because when I do it, I order like hundreds of them. Like, I let my stock get slow, and then I'm like, whoa. And yeah, she doesn't like me very much. It's only like twice a year normally. Yeah. I keep I have that Amazon problem, the same one Rod is talking about. Especially with my resin stuff, I've been ordering molds, and I've been ordering pigments, and I've been ordering epoxy, and there are a lot of Amazon boxes, but we typically go through them on Monday. So I'll keep them up through the week. We don't ship a ton out, except Mondays, and Monday we'll have a piled almost to the roof, and we used all of them. So we definitely recycle the boxes first before using one that we pay, 50 cents to $1 for. And I reuse like the plastic airbag. I reuse everything that comes in those boxes as well, unless they were destroyed. If you're new and if you have family close by, you could tell them too, once you get to a certain volume, time is money, and you're better off to go. Yeah. See, like Julie's saying, all of our neighbors save the boxes for, but like, when you're shipping out 50 on a Monday and like Whatnot, I could not imagine. We sell 100 items a night on Whatnot. So I buy Polly's 500 at a time, and they only last us a couple of weeks. But there's no way I could find that many, free Polly's. Like, I just couldn't. But
you ever see what the Cincinnati Picker does? He actually goes to behind stores, and he has one of those like claw hands, and he goes and picks up all the cardboard boxes out of the actual cardboard dumpsters there, like the good ones. Like
they're really clean though.
Yeah,
like I did
really
dumpster diving for a while just because of the whole hunt of it. Yeah. When I was a nurse, because there were shopping centers on the way home. There's not anything near me where I live. But yeah, like the cardboard and the cardboard dumpsters are like, they're nice. It's nice cardboard.
Have you guys heard about resellers dumpster diving for stuff behind like bells and stuff to resell?
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah, like so
like finding like brand new stuff.
Party supplies.
Yeah, I
actually convinced. I have a video up. It's from like 3 years ago, guys, but it is on my channel. I have 2 dumpster diving videos. And one, I convinced a nurse I worked with to go with me after work. So we're both in our scrubs and jumping in the dumpster. And she's tiny though. I'm like, I could never get out. If I got in the dumpster, I'd be calling 911 to get out. I couldn't get out of the dumpster. I'm not going to lie. And then the other time, my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law went in the dumpster. We found like expensive pet food and toys behind PetSmart in their dumpster.
So there's a lot of people that go behind GameStop, because what GameStop will do is they'll throw away their displays. They'll throw away games they don't like, their vintage games that they don't take in on trade. People leave them there. They'll throw them away in the dumpster. And the funny thing is, if you actually, so New York City is so big, they don't have an area for dumpsters behind the building. So there's actually people on Instagram that post up videos. They put all their garbage in the streets in front of the store. So in New York City, you can actually
just walk by and get it.
Yeah. So Yeah, so that's a good place. If you're in New York, go dumpster diving in front of the stores.
If I had ones that were closer to me that I didn't have to like drive an hour to, I would be doing it more. It's the whole hunt thing. It's just like thrifting, but it's free.
You get the hunt, you get hepatitis
We
at the same
found
time.
brand new $300 car seats behind Bed Bath & Beyond. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Oh my gosh, she's doing the bug. I feel like I've got to go find a dumpster.
Everybody's going to be dumpster diving.
Seriously.
Tonight time, guys. Go after the show.
Stay away from restaurants. Stay away from restaurants. It's not going to be good.
And check local laws. It is illegal in some states. Please don't get arrested. Sherry wants to know, how can you tell Murano from Italian glass if it doesn't have a Murano sticker?
I think that's you, Kat.
Okay, so I'm not actually going to answer because I can tell by looking at it and through experience if you're not experienced. And I will tell you there are a lot of fake Murano stickers, so don't take just having a Murano sticker on it as it being Murano. Jocelyn's Facebook group is really good, Crazy Lamp Lady. It's old things, thrifters, and pickers. And you can post in there, and there are some super knowledgeable people in there. So I suggest, I'm a member of that, and I've posted glass in there for help with signatures. I would recommend joining that and posting a picture, which wouldn't help if you're in a thrift store. But once you get experience with it and have like touched it and held it, I think it gets easier to identify. See, the guy slept in the dumpster. They had to knock. Excuse me, sir. We're here with the trash.
That's actually a good tip there. Bring a step stool with you. So that way you can get
I would need to put it. Yeah, but dumpsters are full. Can you? A step stool wouldn't sit flat in a dumpster. I'd be like sliding and falling. And
so I'll tell you guys a really good reselling tip. If you guys live close to a college university, at the end of semesters, go to the college complexes around there by the dumpsters. Oh,
you can make so much money. Like I live near University of Florida.
I'm talking like thousands of dollars on books. I used to clean up when I was in college. Yeah, books and TVs and all kind of stuff they throw out at the end of semesters. So it's a big thing to do around college campuses.
Yeah. I'm near University of Florida. People like that's their living is going to those dorms after and gathering all of that stuff up.
Yep. And then
I used to
apartment complexes as well, because where they have the apartment complexes are just meant for college students, you can make a killing there too.
And I was going to school near Notre Dame, which is in Indiana. But at the end of the semester, Notre Dame would have what they call Old to Gold, where they would take everything that was left behind by international students and just have a huge sale where you pay $5 and get in. It was like a huge event, but there's so much left behind, especially a lot of international students are a little wealthier as well. So there's some like really good sales if you look for the colleges near you.
Yeah, for sure. Deborah said, I just started on Posh. How can I make sales? How often should I share my store, or should I share a few every day?
I'm assuming I'm going to skip you, LL.
Yep, you're going to skip me, right? Over me.
If that's okay.
I mean, unless you want a BS answer.
I won't have to make you do that. So how to make sales? That's a great question, isn't it? I would say the biggest key is to list consistently. Even if you're listing only like one or two things, list those. Try to do it almost every day if you can. But also sharing, I hate it, but you have to do it if you want to make any sales. If you don't share, you won't sell. So if your store's small enough and you can share by hand, do it. I shared by hand for the first like year until I hit maybe 700 listings. And that was like a lot, but as long as you can do by hand, why not? But then eventually I would just invest in a bot to share your closet for you. It's definitely worth it. I wish I would have gotten a bot sooner, to be honest. But at first I was like, oh, bots aren't allowed. Who cares? Do it if it's going to help your business.
I use a bot too. Yeah. So Camille's saying one shop. That is what I use. I also have them send automatic offers as well. So
can you guys explain the cost of the bot and what you guys are paying so that people that don't use them would know?
Yeah, so I use Posture VA, and that also can relist and delist my items. So if it's getting stale, you can relist it, and it also sends out automatic offers. And then it shares my closet. I share my closet, I think like 10 or 12 times a day, and I share it throughout the night too. So it does all of that, and it does more things too. That's just what I use it for, and I'm paying I think like $20 a month. So for me, oh my gosh, I can take like a break on the weekend. I don't have to sit there and share. I can go on vacation. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I think I'm paying like 30. They lowered it to like $8 when I wasn't making that many sales. One shop actually lowered it. They said your sales aren't high enough. We're not going to charge you that much, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
No other business I've ever our program has said, oh, you don't need like the high level. I think it's like 30 a month. And it does cross posting and stuff too. I don't use it for that. I only use it for sharing my closet and sending out offers on Poshmark is what I use it for. Amy wants to know, am I responsible for items USPS says delivered, buyer says they didn't receive? So how should I handle a request for a refund in this case?
Well, I believe I haven't had one of these come up in a long time through eBay. Etsy, I'll usually just resend it out because I can do that. But if it's a one-off item, you can't do that. But if it's showing delivered, I believe you can. Even if they do a case, you can win the case. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it also depends on what platform you're selling on. If this was happening to me on Poshmark would step in and refund the buyer, but also I would keep my money. So I had this happen just like yesterday, and they refunded me and them, and so it wasn't a big deal.
If this is eBay, then what I always tell my buyers is to open a claim on eBay, because go through the proper thing. Don't ever do anything without do a proper claim. eBay will always side with the seller in this situation. And that you won't have, what I mean by that is, the buyer will still be protected, but the seller will also be protected. So you won't lose, the money that you sent out. You did your job. You got the item was delivered safely. If it was delivered to the wrong house, if the package was stolen, at that point in time, once it's marked delivered, you are done. You're responsible for the item to get there, but once it's delivered, you're good to go. So if that package is missing, the buyer can open a claim on eBay. eBay will sign in your favor, and you won't have to pay anything. And most of the time, eBay will refund the buyer as well and just eat the cost themselves.
Make sure, though, do not assume the tracking number is in there. For whatever reason, it does not cross over. So when they open an item not received case, you need to copy and paste that tracking number into that claim. Otherwise, they're going to side with the buyer. So make sure you go copy and paste your tracking number. Otherwise, they will side with the buyer.
Yeah. Also, too, if you ever have any items that are like over, I think it's $350, if I'm not mistaken, on eBay, you have to have signature confirmation for your delivery.
I think it's 5.
Is it 5? I thought it was 350.
I think it's
well,
5.
We'll have to double check on that, but she may be right. But yeah, you have to have that on eBay, because if that item does arrive and the buyer says it didn't get there, a lot of times that's a different case because it's a more expensive item, and eBay will do more due diligence on those.
Oh, we're both wrong, Rod.
What is it?
$750.
Oh, it's $750. Okay. Yeah, so $750. Yeah. But I personally do anything. Well, that's what it is. I do anything over $350 myself. But yeah, over $750, you're selling big items, make sure you have signature confirmation on there, because you may not get refunded that money because you didn't follow the proper eBay protocols in regards to that.
Yeah. LK Vintage says, for those of you who sell on Mercari, do you promote your listings? I promote on eBay, but I haven't started on Mercari.
Yeah, I personally don't sell on Mercari.
So I sell on Mercari, but I don't promote any of my listings, so I can't really speak to that. I promote on eBay as well.
So I have promoted my listings on Mercari, but you have to remember, when you do promote your listing, you have to offer a discount because it gets refreshed, then it gets sent to the top. So if you have room to work, then you can promote it. If you don't, though, if you do try to promote it, you will be selling your item at a discounted price.
Yeah, it's not a fee on Mercari. You click promote and then they take 10% off. Okay, bye, Rod. I don't know what to do now, where to move us. Okay. they take 10% off of your item, and every time you hit promote, you have to take another 10% off. So you can't, like, it doesn't revert back. That so I used to, but when I had a lot less items, I would go through and look at the ones that had the most watchers on Mercari when I had a lot less listings, and then I would promote the ones that would have like 5 watchers or more, because I knew there was a better chance that I would sell it. Dun, 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 dun. Lisa said, I really am all like, I don't know what to do. Okay, hold on. Okay, there.
Ooh.
Now we're kind of in order. Lisa said, I had a sale today. The buyer hasn't paid. I looked at their feedback. They have a lot of feedback as a warning saying they're a non-payer. Do I have to wait 4 days before listing?
No, you don't have to. You can cancel it and relist it. That's what I've been doing, and especially if you look and they have a lot of non-payment history. I wouldn't really mess around with that. If you want to get it sold, I usually just cancel it and relist it. If it's been like more than 2 days. But if they have good history, I mean, I would wait. I mean, I have mine set up as reminders for after 4 days, to remind them to pay and all the back end stuff set up. So it just depends on the situation for me, because I had that problem happen a lot with he's a lot of order.
Help!
Sorry, my computer just
My
crashed.
eyes are
It literally
watering.
restarted in the middle of talking.
I had that with like electronics, like iPhones. I sell my iPhones on eBay a lot of the times, and 1 out of 4 people pay, and then I got to keep relisting it. So I wouldn't mess around and wait. If they didn't pay, I'd send them like a message, wait a day or 2, and then just cancel it and relist it.
Yeah, since they said that they sold it today, I would wait a little bit at least, give them maybe 2 days and send a reminder as well. You can use that automatic one on eBay. But yeah, give them a chance, but yeah, don't wait a super long time, I would say.
So in future, you can actually go in your settings and you can actually take your settings about who can actually bid on your and buy your items if they have like low feedback or a certain feedback score. So that's a good way to avoid these situations in the future. But I mean, yeah, at this point in time, I mean, unfortunately, you have this happen where you have sometimes if you have a rare item, you'll have people bid it up that aren't going to pay because they may have a similar item and they like to get a high comp. You see that happen a lot of times with like sports collectibles, sports cards, comic books, stuff in those fields. Disney VHS, which there's the Black Diamond. The Black Diamonds that are selling for $10,000.
Very valuable.
Are all fake auctions. But same thing with Beanie Babies. That's the reason why so many people that are new sellers find the Princess Diana Beanie Baby and they think they hit a $10,000 Beanie Baby, and unfortunately, it's not. But it's because people run up sales like that on eBay.
Yeah. You could relist it, but don't cancel their order because it'll ding you. Just relist the item knowing they're not going to pay, and then after 4 days, cancel it. But I do what Rod says, and I have them blocked if they have more than 2 unpaid items in the last 6 months. So that would get rid of them from even being able to buy from you at all. Richard wants to know if any of us have noticed that eBay searches are glitchy right now.
I haven't had any issues. I've been using eBay a lot the last couple of days. I haven't noticed any glitching.
I think the real question here is, when does eBay not have a glitch? Because it seems like there's some type of glitch every day with something going on there. But I mean, just depends, what your search is and what you're looking for. But I haven't seen it, but it wouldn't surprise me that you're running into glitches because it happens all the time.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any, and I've been searching to comp my listings that I've been putting up. I haven't noticed anything. Steph wants to know, do you think eBay controls sales?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're the deep state. They control the sales and everything. No, I don't know how I don't think they can have any control over what sells. I don't think they're playing hanky panky, but maybe other people think that. I don't know.
So for that, I mean, eBay controls the algorithm, so they do control sales one way or another. So it just depends on what's happening, because every time they do an update, you will see a drop off in searches or a drop off in your sales, it seems like. And then it takes it, because the algorithm has to relearn what they're doing, what their updates are doing. And then you'll see it start to get back to normal in a week or two later. So I would say, yeah, eBay does control sales. They do control it, but probably not the way that you're asking, but there is a way they do control it just by the algorithms.
Yeah, and I agree with what Rod said. That's why we pay them extra to promote our listings, to get them at the top. They are in control of that search algorithm. And I also know when I get negative feedback, my listings get knocked down a notch for a day or two and my sales go crap. So I would say, yes, they do. They can't make people buy things, though. You have to have good things. They can't make them buy them, but they can make your stuff more visible if they want, like if you're promoting your listings, for example. Chance said, Kat, considering what you sell, do you put much emphasis on the sell-through rate? How many items did you have before you started getting consistent sales? I sell similar to what you do. So I do pay attention to the sell-through rate, but my sell-through rate is way lower than people selling popular and trending items. My sell-through rate runs about 20% over 90 days. And for me, it's not the sell-through rate, it's that I'm doing the amount of money that I want, which for me on eBay is a minimum of 10,000. I would like to be, I have been in the past at 20,000 a month, and I would like to get back to that. And I had probably 500 items listed before I was seeing daily sales, but my sell-through rate is about 15 to 20%. It's low because I do a lot of longer tail items, and I'm okay with that.
Is she referring to the sell-through rate of buying items and sourcing items, or is she referring to it as selling through?
Like you're sold compared to how many listed for 90 days. Like I know some people's is higher. Like mine, I have 6,000 items listed and like 1,000 sold or something.
Yeah.
Is what mine is.
I run like a 45% sell-through rate on my items, but I think the more importantly, what you want to focus on is going to be your sell-through rate sourcing items, unless you're selling a lot of old antiques and stuff like that, which are going to be one-off long-tail items. But more importantly, is going to be the money you make your money on the buy, not the sale. So if you're buying items that have a higher sell-through rate, you're going to see a higher sell-through rate through your own store.
Sonny wants to know, whatnot question, does shoppers fatigue exist?
I'm not a whatnot person.
Doesn't have to be whatnot, though, just in general. I mean, shopping fatigue, I think, exists in everything. I get shopping fatigue, yard sale and flea market and going sourcing a lot. So, I mean, I think it does exist. Whatnot is easier because you're sitting on your couch just buying stuff. So that's a little bit easier. But, I mean, I think you can run into it. Unless you're doing a marathon on there, so.
Yeah, I think, and I've noticed, because I've been doing sales since September. I was doing 6 a week. Now I'm doing 5 a week. That I'll have like the same main buyers, and then they'll slowly fade away. And then eventually, now that I've been doing it a few months, they'll slowly come back. So yeah, I think it exists. And I think people also look at their bank statement and say, whoa, because it's really easy to spend money on whatnot. So yeah, but also like I sell really fast, so I don't have patience when I go into whatnot sales if they're not selling really fast. Like if they're like, do you see anything you want here? And people are telling them and they're not paying attention to the chat. And I'm like, okay, bye. Like I went in and wanted to buy stuff and they're just not reading my messages and I leave. So people have lost sales for that. So I would say if you're a whatnot seller, pay attention to the chat. It is very, very important when you're selling, especially if you're doing you tell me what you want to buy type situation.
Mm-hmm. I've been in a whatnot show where I asked to see a specific item and then they said, oh no, we go in order here. And it was like 40 items away. And I was like, oh,
I do that though. I do that.
Do you? But do you get like a lot of requests for items down the road?
So here's the thing on why I do it and I won't show. Not much anymore because people know how I run my shows. I sell out every show. I know I am selling every single item I show. So there's no incentive for me to skip ahead 40 items. Now, if I was a smaller seller and I wasn't selling everything, yes, I would immediately pull. And then I think on Sunday, we had somebody that said, hey, I have to get to work. Could you please show this? I did. But that is more of an exception than a rule because we file them in order. They're all numbered. We do 100 items. So, but what we do, Marcia is in the chat and Caroline, they're my moderators there. We'll tag them. We'll say, hey, if you don't want to hang around for 40 items, we'll tag you when it's coming up. And they'll tag them like 2 items before what they want is coming.
That's so kind.
What we do.
Wow.
That's what we do. So, except for giveaways.
That makes sense.
Please don't ask us to tag you for giveaways. Just a little tip in my whatnot sales. Selena said, do we have any thoughts on eBay's advanced beta marketing? It's not that new anymore. I feel like they announced that like a year ago where you can categorize different tags. I don't know. That's not the pay-per-click. Is that something different? Does anybody know?
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I'm not sure what that is referring to.
I think you're talking about the same things. I don't think she's from the US. Well, I think she's talking about
she's in Canada.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's just come out there.
So yeah, I think is it the pay to click where it was a way that you were promoting your items where the people were paying per item.
She said it is the pay-per-click.
Yeah, so I know they did roll it out in the States there for a little bit. I know Rally Roots actually did a video on it, and like he got charged like $180 in fees or something like that because 6,000 people clicked on a vintage shirt and then it didn't sell. Yeah, so it wasn't good. But yeah, I have never used it or tried it.
Yeah, and I can't afford to pay for clicks. I'm okay with paying promoted when it sells, but I'm not Walmart. I can't afford to pay per click and nobody's buying my stuff. So
yeah, Etsy used to do that back in the day too. You could control the cost per click that you wanted to spend, and then they did away with it. Probably like 2 years ago.
I have like a monthly thing set up on Etsy. I had it higher, but I dropped it because I wasn't getting like that good of return. But I'm that shop, like you said, that they can't figure out what the hell I'm doing. That's me. And I have like everything. But, you know, I told everybody, like, we also don't keyword and tag on Etsy because my mom cross-posts and she's 75. And like, I just can't ask her to do anymore. But if I ever got like banned on eBay, that would probably be the first thing I would do would be to go keyword and tag my Etsy listings. And I've thought about having my assistant do it for like an hour a day and see if it makes a difference on Etsy for us. But like eBay's our main one. You know, eBay, we do 10,000 plus a month and the other ones are kind of backups for me. So yeah. Chance, Etsy sellers that I think it was daily sellers. It was Silicon Valley Bank and Etsy said that they weren't getting their payouts. We don't know if they have. Both LL and myself got paid today. We're on weekly payouts. So I feel like it was probably the daily payout people. If anybody was one of those people and you could let us know that you did or did not get your payment, that would help.
Yeah, or if you were not supposed to get your payment last week and then did you now get your payment after the fact? Because no one knows what's going on. So
yeah, let us know. Sunny wants to know, what is your shipping or listing routine? Do you listen to music, play a show, music? Like, what do you do when you're listing and shipping?
Yeah, I usually pop on Pandora, and I usually, what's worked for me, and especially once I left corporate America to do, full time, my Etsy business and reselling, is just coming up with that routine, because I was just waking up every day and I didn't know. I feel like I had 1,000 things to do, and I just felt overwhelmed every day. So what really helped me was coming up with a routine. Like, what are the main things that I wanted to do throughout the week? So usually like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I will print orders and fulfill orders. And then, with that comes, popping on some Pandora or some podcasts while I'm doing that stuff. Usually that's a good time while you're doing that too, is to learn, if you want to throw up YouTube videos, informative podcasts and stuff like that, because I don't drive to work anymore. And that's what I used to do when I would drive to work to kind of fill that time. So now that's kind of the tedious stuff is a good time to, depending on what mood, if you want to learn while you're doing it or be entertained. But yeah, that's kind of my routine. I usually have those set days. So I kind of know I wake up, I know what I have to do that day. I'm not kind of scrambling or trying to figure it out. And it's really kind of eased a lot of stress too.
Yeah, so I'll do something fun while I'm at least shipping, either put on a show or listen to another reseller, put on a YouTube video, that kind of thing. I've been kind of doing a different listing routine lately. It's just I've gotten so buried under my death pile that I just have to like do tons of listings at once to get out of it. So I've been going to Starbucks and just sitting there and listing, ordering a fun drink, and that has helped tremendously to just get out of the house and make it something a little bit more enjoyable. I'd much rather be thrifting, but sometimes you got to list. So I put on Taylor Swift at Starbucks. I know all the baristas at this point, and we're just all buddies. And so, yeah, I just go to Starbucks now.
So for me, I do my shipping first thing in the morning, because that's the thing that's going to get my account suspended or in trouble if I don't ship out my items right away. And then I do listing. And what I try to do the night before is I try to take a group of photos, maybe 10, 20, 30 photos I want to list the next day. So that way, when I'm done shipping, I can go right into listing, and there's no me trying to pick through my death pile, seeing what I want to list, what I don't want to list. It's already done. So that way it's a nice even flow and starts my day off fresh. And when I do that, I really enjoy, I watch a ton of reselling information, and, I listen to like the Trash to Cash podcast. I watch Kat's videos. I listen to, Handmade and Beyond. His, I'm not an Etsy seller, but I like to learn about Etsy because, especially doing the show, it does help out with stuff. And then I watch a lot of resellers, and I rotate them through. I watch Sunny Las Vegas, because I can learn a lot about that side of the West Coast. I watch, Commonwealth Picker. I watch Cincinnati Picker, Shed Flips, pretty much all the main ones, Rally Roots, Rockstar Flipper. I mean, pretty much what everyone always watches. But just like anyone else, I like to learn while I list and learn while I ship. And if I pick up one thing, it's going to help me out and keep moving forward.
I'm the opposite of Rod and watch absolutely nobody. I do not watch any reselling channels. I haven't in probably at least 6 months. I was watching George for a while because George the Antique Nomad is like a walking encyclopedia. I don't have the time. That's a lie. Here is why. Patty is telling, I already watched the whole season of Outer Banks. So what I do is I wake up in the morning, and I do have my assistant. She does drafts. So I wake up in the morning, I end everything that's sold on the other platforms on List Perfectly, and then I make the drafts active in the morning, and I've already watched Outer Banks. I'm watching something on TV. So I guess I could be watching reselling, but the problem for me, I like what sold videos. If I watch thrifting and yard sale videos, it makes me want to go. And I do not need to go every day. I'm like, I got to go find this stuff. So that's why I kind of stopped, because I was sourcing too much. And I think thrifting videos, some people are like, oh yeah, I get my thrift. No, it just makes me want to go. So I watch TV, hang out on the couch. No, I do. Taylor, I have not, I keep it real. I'm not going to lie. I have not watched any reselling YouTube in a long, long time. And I know somebody told me, and I didn't know this, Rally Roots doesn't watch any either, because they said they don't want to influence. Was it you, Rod, that told me they don't want to influence how their videos are, like, and be like copying other people? That's not why for me. I just like, I want to relax on the couch and so the reason for the shows is I'm like half paying attention. Like I'll put on like CSI Las Vegas, and I'm not really watching it. It's more background noise. And if I watch reseller stuff, I'm going to watch, and then I'm not going to be working. So it depends on you, but yeah, I have not. I might get back into it. I don't know. I also, watched a ton of motivational speaking stuff. I've been watching resin art stuff. I know, and my husband always has gamers and fishing channels on too. So like there's all this noise going on. It's just a little too much to have something on that you really, really want to pay attention to. When is my next store review? We just did it Thursday, so it's in a month. My next eBay listing reviews is in a month. We do it once a month. So it is in a month. Let's see. I think we kind of already touched on the trick to getting regular sales. LL, do you want to kind of explain Etsy fees? So Hanford Findings, Miss Kathy, I think she's asking it like when you said to niche down the stores. So if they wanted to have like 2 or 3 different stores, can you Etsy's not like eBay as far as like paying monthly for a store. Can you explain the fees for them?
Yeah, so the fees are done. So basically, when it comes to Etsy, you're paying for each listing. It's 20 cents to list something on Etsy, and that renews quarterly. So you pay that 20 cents every quarter when that renews. And then outside of that, you pay a 6.5% fee off the top. That's to Etsy. I forget what type of fee they call it. And then they have a processing fee, which is, I believe, that is another 3% plus 25 cents. I believe that is what it is. I haven't looked at it in a while. And that's on every sale. Once something sells, you will pay that for the sale of the item for those fees. So it's the transaction fee, they call it, and then the processing fee. So the processing fee is 3%, but if you're an international seller, it can vary, whatever they can go up to 6% for that processing fee, and then the transaction fee is the 6.5%, and then the listing fee is the 20 cents. But that's only once something sells. Now there's other fees kind of embedded in there that you have to be careful of. There's advertising fees. If you choose to do that, you can turn those on or off and set your budget. But then there's offsite ad fees, which gets people confused all the time because those are fees that can be anywhere from 12 to 15%. And you can opt out of that until you hit 10,000 in sales in a rolling 365-day period. Once you hit that, you're going to automatically be opted in at the 12% for those offsite ad fees. And those offsite ads, that basically means your listings are advertised on Bing, Google, different places that Etsy chooses. And then it will be up to 12%. It may and usually won't be that 12 or 15%, depending on where you're at. So offsite ads perform really, really well for me. Usually the return on investment is really high for those. They perform really well. And from what I understand from other people, they perform really well. It's really never the 12 to 15%, but a lot of people get freaked out when they're automatically opted in. Like, am I going to be having to pay 12% on top of all these other fees that I'm paying? And the answer is usually no.
Yeah.
So
you could have 3 shops and it would be the same fees because you're paying per listing.
Yeah, it's the exact same fees across the board. You don't pay. It's not like Etsy. If you want to have a store, you pay that fee. You can have as many stores as you want. It really comes down to how many listings you're going to put up. Because if you start putting up hundreds of listings, those fees are going to start adding up, depending on how many listings you have. So it really just depends. And
yeah,
a lot of times too with different, I think a lot of people with kind of to touch on the store thing, I think a lot of people feel like they have to do multiple stores, and in a lot of cases, you don't have to do multiple stores. You can usually fit those into one shop, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to manage. You just have to rebrand your shop where it makes sense. If your shop name is super specific to furniture or something like that, and you're selling mugs, that's not going to make much sense. You could still do it, but maybe you want to rebrand your shop to like Jane's Collections or Jane's Style or something like that, where you can have multiple niches in the same shop, and then you break it out by category, and that's how you separate them out. Because a lot of people run in, they off the gate, they start 2 shops, 3 shops, and it's really hard to get consistent with jumping back and forth to those shops. And I've done it even over the last couple of years. After I was doing Etsy for a while, I'd start a shop, and it's even for me, when my shop's very established, it's really hard to bounce to that other shop and work on it when your other shop's established and going and kind of bouncing back and forth. So it just
It's
really depends on
hard.
the situation. Yeah. Depends on the situation.
Like on eBay, I closed mine. I started a second one and like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
VTrider. So here's the thing with eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Mercari, like they all have all these fees. Like people were commenting on my Poshmark video, oh, but their fees are the highest at 20%. Nope, not if you add in eBay's promoted or like Etsy's offsite ad. Nope, it might not be. So, you know, really look at it and try and kind of figure that out.
And people don't understand too. If they go to an offsite auction house or something, they're going to be paying 20 to 30% in fees.
A buyer fee.
Yeah. And you're paying a buyer fee, but also on top of that, like if you try to start your own website and do your own Google searches and everything else, you're going to be paying 30, 40, 50% just getting your store started. So paying that 20% doesn't look too bad at the end of the day. And you don't have to market anything.
And you don't have a store overhead, you know, that like rent that you would be paying somewhere else. This one, I think we might get differing opinions. Charlene wants to know, is it good to just list only one type of items for beginners in order to have a good algorithm?
I mean, it would be I think you'd be selling yourself short if you went out looking for only one type of item. So I think that would be kind of hard to do. When I go out to source, I'm looking for whatever I can find that makes money. So I try not to be tunnel visioned. I mean, everyone has different expertise. I mean, that's why you got to look different things up, but I'm always trying to find different things with decently high profit margins and put up as much stuff as possible when it comes to the reselling stuff. So I guess I know there's certain people that specialize in certain things, but you're not always going to find those things if you're going to different yard sales. You may come home with nothing. And I think that kind of defeats the purpose if you're coming home and you don't have anything to list. So I think that's hard to stick to just one thing for me.
Yeah. And I think it's different between type of item and like category. So if you're asking like a category, I think it's helpful to start off like only doing clothes or only doing hard goods and kind of learning a lot about those pieces, or just doing jewelry, and then expanding out as you become more confident in what your area is and know what you're picking up. I feel like starting somewhere and learning pretty well about that category is helpful, but I don't think picking up one type of item. Like if I'm in clothing, I'm only picking up dresses. I think that's just missing out on lots of profit.
Yeah, I think all beginners should start out, not even go out sourcing for items, sell items that you have laying around your house to make sure you actually enjoy the process, because it's a lot more work than what it looks like. And when you see all these videos online, and I think that you shouldn't just sell one item as a beginner. I think all beginners should start out almost as like an everything store. And the reason for that is if you start selling items that are seasonal, you're not going to have any sales. Maybe, start selling Christmas items and it's the middle of July. I mean, it's gonna be a while before you start seeing those sales come through. I mean, even though Christmas stuff sells all year round, but still, you don't want to handcuff yourself in those situations. So I highly recommend beginners start as an everything store, see what you like selling, because you might not like shipping glassware, or you might prefer, I hate taking pictures of clothing because I have to do all the measurements and stuff, but I still sell clothing. So I will only pick up higher end clothing or clothing that I like to sell, where I'll buy every single video game or every single action figure because I enjoy those things. So you don't know what you start enjoying until you start buying it and start selling it. So I highly recommend you just start selling a little bit of everything to start off with, and then niche down after you get established and see what you like.
Yeah, or you don't niche down because you like everything like me.
But you did niche down on jewelry in a way.
Well, on Whatnot, I'm very niche down, but not on eBay. Yeah. I think I agree. Like, you have to pick up what you can find. And we've talked about this a lot. You could want to only sell vintage hats and shirts all you want, but if you can't find vintage hats and shirts, it doesn't matter what you want to sell if you can't find them. I would love to find a ton of vintage shirts. I cannot find them. So I think I can find tons of jewelry. But you have to make sure you can find what you want, because if you niche down and then you can't find it, what are you going to do? And we've talked about it before, where some people can sell some things really good and others can't. So you got to find what that is for you. Like, I do good with vintage linen. Some people can't sell them. I watched back when I was this is what happened. So I watch reselling content. I watch the tie guy selling like $20,000 in ties a month. I go out and buy ties and I still have them 3 years later. And I cannot sell a tie to save my life. So some people can sell some stuff, some cannot. And it could be the same thing. It might be pictures, it might be keywords. Like I love my kachinas, I love my Native American stuff. And I think if you really love something, it helps you describe it better. So your title's better, your pictures are better. So I think that really helps with it. But yeah, I wouldn't. But you might find, you know, if you don't have much room, you want to only do smalls, you know, like smaller linens like handkerchiefs or postcards or keychain, whatever. Jewelry is really small. Stuff like that, you have to take into consideration too. How much space do you have? You know, you might not have the space for a lot of whatever. Does anybody know the answer to this? I think I'm still on international. I'm still on global shipping program. I don't think I've switched.
So they just switched me over and didn't tell me to get no notification. I just wanted to ship an item. And if your items are now shipping to Chicago area or Illinois, then you get moved over to the international shipping program. If you're still shipping to Kentucky, then you're in the global shipping program.
Yeah, I think I'm still in global. I don't think it's totally gone yet. They're probably rolling it out.
Yeah.
Has anybody else noticed on your eBay sales tab, the total for selling cost and net sales, the total of the columns do not match?
I haven't noticed that.
There was a big glitch going around. I know that there's multiple people that were just talking about that. And I just think it's a glitch with eBay, and they were having some issues with that. So I don't know if it's been fixed or not, or what's going on.
Another glitch.
Yeah, and I know the total on the app does not match the total on the computer. That's completely different. Like mine, I think is like several thousand different. So it says 29,000 on my phone. Let's see what it says on my computer.
Yeah, one adds like sales tax and shipping costs and everything to it, which is your gross, and the one's net, if I'm not mistaken. That's why there's a difference between your phone and the computer.
It used to be the same though. The computer's less, so my phone's more. It used to be vice versa. I don't know what they've got going on. No clue. Sherilyn, I know Rebekah, you explained it some before, but she said buyers started a bundle. So once they start a bundle, like if they start a bundle, is like for me, if I wanted once, I'd give them like a few hours after creating a bundle and then send an offer. Is that what you would suggest?
So I usually move a little faster than that. Like if I'm on there at the same time that they're actually adding, sometimes I will just send a message and say like, hey, I'm open to making an offer. And so like, if you want to bundle a few things, I'll give you my best deal I can. If that's a lot of time, which it can be, then as soon as they're done or what it feels like is done, like maybe it's been 5 minutes and they haven't done anything, then I'll just send an offer right then.
Listen, somebody yesterday, and if it's you and you're watching, I'm sorry, but they commented any offer on my on my Poshmark listing, and I just ignored them. Like there's an offer button. You can make an offer if you're so inclined. Like any offer? No, like, because I'm sure my offer would be higher than what they look. The green with the membership blends into my St. Patrick's Day green. Deja Vu became a new YouTube member. Thank you so much. I haven't played this Dolphin in a while. Here you go.
Super chat.
Played the wrong one. Bad cat. Here's the real one.
Welcome to the flipping family.
There's the right one. I haven't played that one in a while. I forgot where it was, apparently. Trina wants to know how you list items on eBay that eBay has deleted and you no longer have the photos.
I guess you gotta retake the photos. I don't think there's any way to get that back. Once it's gone, it's gone. Because I've deactivated stuff before and they've deleted it, and there's no way to get it back.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, after 90 days, you're gonna have to take new photos and relist it. Or if the item is deleted, or if you delete it, then at that point in time, there's nothing you can do. Just take the photos and find a similar listing to just do sell similar and just pop it on there real fast.
Okay, I'm going to forgive them both because they're new to List Perfectly, but List Perfectly keeps your listings forever. So you can go to List Perfectly and search, and you can just copy it back over to eBay. So I have my sold items hidden because my mom was reposting sold stuff. So I have my sold items hidden, but I can unhide them, and then I could find it, and then I could put it back out. So like Poshmark forever ago, like cleared my closet. Mercari did too. And in that case, we just went to our List Perfectly catalog and put it back out. So yeah, List Perfectly, as long as you don't delete it off your catalog there, they store your pictures forever. So that's another nice thing to have as backup for List Perfectly.
I totally forgot. Yeah, but you have to list it in List Perfectly first to have it stored in there, right?
No, you
import
can.
it.
No, I list everything on eBay first, and then I put it into List Perfectly, and it's still it has to have been in List Perfectly at some point. But it doesn't. I don't start like they say that's the best way. I'm hard-headed. I don't like change, so I list on eBay and then we copy into List Perfectly. But it's still there. Roman said the mannequin might be afraid of you and run away. Mr. Bob wants to know, LL, what do you hand make?
I screen print graphic shirts. So I have a whole setup in my garage. I've been doing it for years. So that's why it's the stuff that I sell I can reproduce. They're not like one-off items. They're not like vintage items. So I can control kind of what I sell and reproduce the same type of items. But it's kind of nice because I can, do what I like, do what I enjoy, the different themes. I sell dog shirts, I sell workout related stuff, funny stuff, different things like that. I have several different niches in my shop that I kind of focus on and sell. So it's a lot of fun. I like creating. The screen printing, not so much. That kind of gets a little. That's work. It can be hard work to do that. But the actual like designing and creating and all that stuff, that's kind of the fun part for me.
Yeah. Katrina wants to know, if you sell an item and your printer isn't working, could you forward the shipping label email to another person's printer? Yes. The answer to that is yes, you can. And if you were like printing them on eBay, you can actually print it to PDF, and then you could email that PDF file of all your labels to somebody else, and you could print them that way too. Miss Patty wants to know if any of us are going to the Reseller rally in Vegas in October.
I plan on going, so we will see what happens, but I definitely plan on trying to go to Vegas and be part of it.
Anybody else? LL, Rebekah?
No.
Nope.
I am thinking about it. Dalton will be in kindergarten though, and it's in the middle of the week, but there's no way that my husband is letting me go to Vegas by myself. He has already said that. So I'm going to Cincinnati. I do plan on going to Cincinnati. So that's the other thing. Like, I'm going to be in Phoenix in June. I'm going to be in Cincinnati in September. Do I really want to go again? I don't know, especially with a 5-year-old in kindergarten. So yeah, I'm undecided, and it will be expensive to fly. And my 21-year-old, my daughter, would have to go too. So that means 5 of us would have to fly from Florida to Vegas. It would not be just one.
And you're not doing FlipCon this year, correct?
I'm not. It is the first week of school, so I'm not going to.
I'll be at the Reseller rally with you I'm sorry. What's the one that in Cincinnati? It's also called Reseller rally. Yeah,
that's the Reseller rally. Yeah.
And then the boss mix is in Vegas in October, so I'm trying to go to that, and I plan on trying to go to FlipCon as well. We will see. So if you guys are out there, look out for me and come say hi.
Guitar Missy wants to know, is vintage on its way out, or is it just me?
I would say definitely not. I mean, I think the more and more people are getting involved or have interest in either selling vintage or buying it. Not to mention, like, vintage is very sustainable. So there's a whole new generation of people that are buying it, and not because it's cool, but because it's sustainable and it is cool as well. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's more popular than ever in my eyes.
I agree. And especially too, as trends just like keep circling around, especially as it comes to like clothing, like what was vintage is like what is in right now. And so I think it's just going to keep on cycling.
So the definition of vintage is something that's 20 years or older. And so every year you have something new that's becomes vintage. And if you, I mean, the best thing to say, if you think vintage is going out, go to Walmart or Target and walk through their clothes section, their t-shirt section, or their toy section. You'll see all the toys from the 80s and 90s are there. So vintage isn't going anywhere right now. They remake video games. They're remaking toys. They're bringing back TV shows. Like they're bringing back X-Men cartoons. They're bringing back G.I. Joe got picked up, for the cartoons coming back. So everything goes through cycles. But no, vintage isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and it's just going to keep adding to new things with a whole nother generation that's going to come through. So anyone that was born and grew up in the 2000s, well, right now 2003 is considered vintage. I know that's scary to think like that, but yeah, let me repeat that: 2003 is considered vintage right now. So just think, in the next couple of years, 7 years from now, 2010 is going to be considered vintage. So no, vintage isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think vintage is on its way out, but certain vintage things might trend up and trend back down. Like certain types of glass right now are not selling well, certain pottery, but overall vintage is definitely not going anywhere. I wanted to put this up. Peddling Profit said the Etsy daily payment delayed on Friday. They did get paid today. So it looks like sellers have gotten paid. Also, Thrifting Vegas, my good friend Tiffany is going to boss, and she's applied to be a speaker. So Tiffany will definitely be there. It's very convenient for her. She lives there. Vegas is so far for us Florida people. It sucks. I wish it wasn't so far. Daria is asking, has Dalton ever watched the show Flipper? He has not. He has not. I should put that on for him sometime though. Mile High Mom, this is a good question. When you're sourcing in person, do you try to hide the fact that you're a reseller, or are you open about it?
I mean, I wouldn't try to hide it. I mean, I guess if they ask you if you're going to resell it, I think it's always a good thing to be honest, and it may help you even negotiate the items. Like, I have to make a profit on this. I'm going to offer you this. And I think a lot of times people will understand if they're looking to really sell it. I don't know, maybe some people won't be as understanding, but, and then, sometimes I'm looking things up on my phone, because I want to make sure that because I don't know near enough about reselling stuff. So I look a lot of stuff up on my phone if I decide to go out and source, and I don't really try to hide it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And if people don't like the fact that you're reselling it, then that's on them, not on you. I mean, you're out there trying to make a living, have a business just like they are, trying to sell the items. So it's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I find that when I'm out thrifting, I'm often like recording it to make a thrifting video. And so it's kind of hard to hide, at least that I'm filming. But other than that, like, I try not to announce it. I don't want to go around and be like, yeah, I'm going to turn all of your stuff around for a profit. Like, that sucks for you. But yeah, so I try to keep it a little bit on the DL, but I'm not going to lie about it at all.
Yeah, so I think the worst thing you can do is actually lie about it and try to tell people, because people know. They just want the confirmation that, especially at yard sales and flea markets, stuff like that. But I tell people flat out, but if it's something I'm buying too, like, for example, if it's like action figures or video games, I flat out tell them I'm a collector first and foremost. I have over 2,000 video games, but I do buy and resell on eBay. So that helps lessen the blow. But also too, by telling people that you are a reseller and that you do, that can help you with negotiations, because when people say, oh, I want X amount of dollars, so I'm like, hey, I'd be willing to buy this, but I'm only going to offer you 50%, or I'm going to offer you, they want $10, I'm going to offer you $5 because, I'm looking to buy this a resale. If you don't want that, I totally understand. So I use that for negotiation purposes. But also too, I can't tell you how many times by telling people I'm a reseller where people say, hey, I have the XYZ in the house, or hey, I have my sister just passed away and I have all this items. Would you like to come back out and look at these items since you resell? So it's always good to tell people what you do. And I try to tell everybody, tell your friends, family, let everyone know what you do, that you are a reseller, because people are going to randomly reach out to you at any given point when stuff comes up. And I get contacted on a daily basis now just because people know what I do.
Yeah, and I don't try to hide it. I'm very open about it. So I don't try and keep it on the DL. Like, I'll tell people, like, Dalton's with me a lot of times. I'm like, hey, this is what I start doing. This is how I get to be home with him when we're out at yard sales. Like, this is what we do to support ourselves. I tell people about my YouTube channel. I'm very, very open about it. I love teaching people about it, especially like people that might just need a little extra income, to like increase what they're making. So I'm very, very open about it. And like when I was still nursing, I even talked to my patients about it. And I actually got an estate sale buyout that way. Just like Rod was saying, a lady's friend's mom passed away and they were in a gated community. They were not allowed to do estate sales. She said, I know who to contact. And she emailed me and I got to go and pick everything I wanted. I actually went twice because of a patient who I told what I did, and she actually watched my YouTube, even though she wasn't reselling, and she had her friend contact me. Reseller ride, sending a $5 late fee. We lost track of time at the Goodwill bins. Bought a church communion tray. What's the weirdest thing you have bought to flip?
Well, that's a great question. I'm trying to think. I know there's been some weird stuff. I haven't bought anything weird in a while, though. Put me on the spot here.
We can skip you and come back to you if you need to.
Yeah, skip me. I don't.
Ooh, I was like, yeah, I have more time to think. Okay.
I was doing you a favor.
I guess, it's not super weird, but I did buy a shot ski to resell. Not exactly an easy like shipping item. I'm doing it more so on Facebook Marketplace, but I found that at Goodwill and I was like, okay, it's a ski with shots on it.
So for me, probably the weirdest things I've sold like empty boxes of items or just stuff like that. But I'm actually in the process of selling it right now. I actually bought a bottle of 1983 champagne at a garage sale. And what a lot of people don't realize is that it's illegal to sell liquor and alcohol because unless you have a liquor license. But if you guys ever come across bottles of wine or bottles of champagne or whiskey, okay, whiskey doesn't go bad. Champagne and wine have to be kept at a certain temperature so they don't go bad. But you can actually contact auction houses that specialize in liquor, and you can they'll send you a prepaid label and they'll make you offers on the bottles. So even if the bottle as long as the bottle is sealed, and over time, sometimes the whiskey bottles do get, they'll lose some, like just due to evaporation, they'll lose stuff in there, but I had a buddy that sold a $500 bottle of Southern Comfort, and I got offered, I paid $25 for a bottle of champagne. It came with flutes and everything. And I actually just got offered $155 for a bottle of champagne. That was from 1983. So
nice.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's not a weird, but it's weird to buy to resell. I bought a wheelchair, and that was fun because I didn't want to disassemble it. So I built a box around this giant wheelchair, but I made like $300 or $400 in profit. But the buyer of it, and a lot of people say like the medical stuff is kind of iffy, but they were so thankful because I sold it for $500, and if they bought it in person, they would have to pay $1,500. So they were like thrilled with it. Got a great deal. A Mulan sauce. Pee-wee.
That's if you ever look on eBay, they always have they'll have like a chip that looks like the Virgin Mary.
A Cheeto.
Cheeto
like
or
Jesus.
something like that. So that's what he's referring to in regards to those. But yeah.
Yeah, there's but did you see when they were doing like the water from Disney World?
Yeah. And then also, so they were selling when Splash Mountain shut down there, people were selling.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. Splash water from there. And then when Tom Brady announced his retirement, people were going to Miami Beach, taking the sand there. So if you guys ever, when you guys just late night and you guys can't sleep, go on eBay and search like weird items. They used to have a category back in the day for like weird.
They still have weird. I thought about doing a research video from that category.
Oh, actually, LL, why don't you tell them about the weird thing on Etsy they sell?
Well, yeah. So I do like a Friday episode. Sometimes it's news. Sometimes I'll do a Freaky Friday episode where I'll try to find the weirdest stuff on Etsy and I'll feature it on the show. But yeah, I found. So there's someone sells teeth clouds. It's a little cloud that has teeth in it, and you hang it from wherever you want to hang it. It just it looks super weird.
Nope.
But there's like, and then there's like a Justin, like a Justin Trudeau scented candle. That was one of the things that I found. Like, there's just the funniest stuff on there. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Rocks to be me says marketplace. I'm assuming she means Facebook. Keeps kicking legitimate items off like binoculars, Nintendo Game Boy, saying they're against policy. I appealed. They put them back, but told me my account is at risk. Any ideas?
Well, Kat, you should take this one here.
Do not put them back, or you will be blocked forever like I am currently. I'm not allowed to sell on Marketplace because of vintage license plates. So I would not put them back, or you could lose your account forever, which is what happened to me, and I cannot sell on Marketplace anymore.
Yeah, and that goes for all platforms, eBay as well. If you try to sell items on there and they get removed, for example, like I had some Kylie Jenner, it was my my wife had some makeup that she wasn't using, so I put it on there and I had international shipping turned on. I can sell it domestically, but it's Vero international because someone has the rights to sell that internationally. So my listing got kicked off. So if I try to relist it, sell it international, my account will get flagged. So anytime that happens, I said either try to sell it on another platform or just cut your losses and move on.
Yeah, that would be my advice. Deja vu thrifting. If I contemplate to starting to sell on Whatnot, how do you propose getting an audience? And she says it's petty to have a show and have only 5 people there. So any suggestions? I want to tell you, and let me see if I can find her name. One of my viewers had her first show last week. Let me find her name because I wonder if I can find her. Marsha, do you remember her name? DMV Estates. Are you in here? DMV Estates. I just remembered it. That woman had 5 people in her show and sold $750 in the first 2 minutes. And I was like, holy crap, I'm sucking. Because that's like a whole show for me. So I will tell you, if you have the stuff, and she had the stuff. She had amazing. I don't know if she's in here. I saw her in here, DMV Estate Find. She had vintage Trifari, vintage Miriam Haskell. She had top name brands. Yes, Marsha, her first show, 7 people in there. The woman had sold like $1,000 in the first 15 minutes. So Mark has got it right on the head. Quality is key. That showed me that if you're putting items in a catalog, you're taking pictures of them, which I do, you're putting the brand, and you put vintage Miriam Haskell, people are searching Whatnot for Miriam Haskell. There were pre-bids of $150 before she even started on some of her items. So if you have the right stuff, you can make money. As far as building following, having good stuff consistently is key. I will tell you, like, I think consistency, so like maybe once or twice a week, same day, same time, just like this show. We've been here for 3 years. Every Tuesday night at 8:30, I've missed one of them in 3 years. And we went from having 15 people in the chat to 400 to 500 a week in the chat. Consistency on any part of reselling or social media is key. And having the good items. Like, so Camille's saying, if you have the stuff in their quality, it's up and down. Consistency is key and people catch on. So if it's hard, because if you want, like I'm doing lower dollar stuff, I will occasionally have a Tiffany or a Miriam Haskell, but I'm doing more and we talked about this a few weeks ago, the fast nickel versus the slow dime. I'm selling stuff for $5 to $7 that people could sell for 20, 25, 30 on eBay. But I love her too. I love her too. But so I'm not selling a ton of high dollar items. I do have them. Sue has a very good business. Vintage Vagabond Vins is live 5 days a week on Whatnot. She does all brooches. She has great brooches. She doesn't have a giant following here on YouTube or Instagram, but she has a great following on Whatnot. Yeah, the fast nickel all day on Whatnot, but I'm the slow dime on eBay, you know? Yeah, so consistency. I think having fun games, like another one I like to refer to is Dawn Sanford and Son. She does a claw game. She grabs a certain color of jewelry. You bid on one handful. She gets $70 a handful almost every time. But you have to have 6 bins of different colored jewelry, you know? And it's not just jewelry. I mean, for me, I started on jewelry because Whatnot came to me to sell jewelry, but I like it because it's small and I can sell 100 items and pack 100 items fast. So if I were doing hard goods or breakables, I would probably only be doing that 30 to 50 that we talked about earlier. You know, I wouldn't be doing 100 like that would be nuts. That would just be absolutely nuts. All right, we're just going to take a couple more questions real quick. Let's see. Rose wants to know, what is your daily listing goal and how do you keep yourself motivated to meet it?
I list, I don't list daily. Just because of my schedule and I'm doing different things. Usually when I list, it's usually Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. But usually, so for me, it's a little bit different. Because my stuff's all the same price when it comes to Etsy and eBay. I'm transferring my inventory from Etsy to eBay. So those items are all about $20, $25 a piece. So I usually try to do at least 50 listings. That's usually my goal those days, of whether I'm doing new stuff or transferring listings into different platforms. But I know for eBay specifically, if I know a lot of resellers, they have different stuff to list. It's more about, you know, listing a certain number of items, but also listing a certain dollar amount of items per day. So I think both are important to take into account, of how much money do you want to list and also how many items, because I think both are important. Both will help drive traffic to your shop. But at the end of the day, the more profit you're making is important. You could list 2 items and you're making $200 on each of those, or you could list 40 items and make $100. So it really kind of comes down to how much money you want to make and how many listings. But I think both are important to take into account.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to depend on what your sell-through rate is for each person. It's going to be different of how many you need to list in order to get the kind of money you want to make, is what you're saying too. So my daily listing goal is 10 a day, but do I ever hit that? No. So that's more of like, you know, a lofty goal for me. But then the reason I'm able to list, I like to get out of the house. Like, that's how I have to keep myself motivated. Both my husband and I work from home. If I stay here, we will just watch Game of Thrones. We will not get anything done. So I have to leave and we have to go. Like, I go to Starbucks. I talked about that. And that's how I'm able to do it. It's something I enjoy. I make it a fun task. And then I can list like 40, 50 things in an hour, where it would take me like an hour to list 5 before, you know? So, and maybe that was an exaggeration. 50 an hour is like a lot. So I want to edit that. I was like, wait a second.
Like, I want to hire you.
I know, like, everybody, here we go.
So I think it's the most important thing is the amount of money that you're listing for sale, because for me, my goal is to hit $500 a day. If I list 5 days a week, you know, that's going to be $10,000 a month. But I do list on the weekends as well. So my goal per day is to hit at least $500 listed items, so that I can try to be making, you know, over 10 grand a month in sales on eBay. And, you know, my goal is I try to do 20 items a day, but I do keep a list, and I highly recommend you guys have a calendar with like dry erase board on there where you can actually mark down. And I keep my listings. I mark down the amount of money I list and the number of items I list per day. And I actually, at the end of the month, my goal is to hit those numbers by the end of the month. So some days I may only list 10 items because life get in the way. Some days I'll list 25 items, but I always try to hit that $500 mark. And some days, like yesterday, I listed $1,200 worth of stuff. And today I think I listed $200 and something worth of stuff. So when I get off, before I go to bed tonight, I'm going to list a couple bigger items. So I hit my $500 for the day. But the most important thing to be successful as a full-time reseller and to become a full-time reseller, know how much money you need to make and hit that as your minimum per day.
Yeah. So I am not really listing on eBay myself much anymore. My assistant's doing it. I actually talked with Kaylee Elaine because she has full-time employees just to kind of brainstorm with her. She'll be back on with us in May, and she does primarily clothing. So she said the average is like 8 to 15 per hour that somebody should be able to list. I asked her because she's been tracking it and paying attention. So that's kind of my goal for Lynn, is to hit that at least 8 an hour mark. And then I make all of her drafts active. So for me, like today, I cataloged 100 items show on Whatnot. So I want to make sure I'm doing something every day that's bringing in, like my mark is $500, just like Rod. I want $500 a day in sales. And so like today I cataloged the Whatnot sale, plus I made her drafts active. As far as keeping motivated, money is a great motivator. And I think most people will see the more you're listing, the more sales you get pretty fast, as long as you're listing it, kind of comparatively. Okay. I want to answer this real quick, and then we're going to answer one more question. I'll let everybody go. Rose asked, how do we schedule a store review and how much does it cost? So I do eBay store reviews once a month in my $1.99 membership. So my memberships go up to $19.99, but we do the store reviews for the $1.99. So you would just need to join the $1.99. And then 2 days before, I post and ask for people to put their links. And the nice thing too is once you join a membership, you can watch all of the videos from the last 3 years. You have access to the whole bank, and watching other people's stores get reviewed will help you learn as well. So you can go back and watch all of those. All right, last question. Guitar Missy says, is retail arbitrage worth it? And if yes, how much of a markup makes it worth it?
This is something I haven't really dabbled in too much. I was trying to get into it with Amazon, and then everything was gated, and I didn't want to go through the process. So I kind of was just like, I'd rather just go to yard sales and flea markets and do stuff that way. So I kind of gave up on it.
Yeah, I've kind of dabbled in doing retail arbitrage, and I even have some pieces now sitting in my closet that are from that too. But I think it's going to depend on the person. Like some people, that's all they can do. If you're working a full-time job, like you don't have the time to go and hit up all of these thrift stores that I can do because you just don't have that time. So I feel like it has its time and its place. For me, I have found that the risk of buying things for that more expensive price that usually comes with retail arbitrage just isn't worth it for my business model. But for some other people I know, it really works. So it kind of just depends too on if you like doing that thrill of the hunt, if you like going thrifting and searching, if that's how you want to spend your time, or if you'd rather take a little bit more risk and maybe spend a little bit more, but have an idea of what things sell for, have some of that information on the back end. So that's kind of like a yes kind of answer, but I personally don't love doing it.
So I have done a lot of retail arbitrage over the years. I will tell you, when you're looking at percentages and markups, yard sales are going to give you the best markups and the biggest return on items. Next, then will be thrifting or flea markets, and retail arbitrage is going to probably give you the smallest return on your investment for certain items. And just for the fact is sometimes the market does get flooded when items do go in. When Walmart puts out a discount, that's a discount usually across all the Walmarts. And so you need to get in there fast and pick up those items. I sold a lot of items from Walmart, but also too depends on what platform you're selling. So I know a lot of sellers that specialize in retail arbitrage, they try to be around the $20 to $30 profit margin on items. but they're also selling through Amazon and using the FBA. So they're okay having a smaller 15-20% profit margin because they're shipping in the FBA, and FBA is doing all the work for them. So all they're doing is buying it and listing it. Where when you're buying the items and holding on those items, you do take a bigger risk with things. So I would say tread lightly if you're starting into it. Just buy a couple one-off items to start off with, see how it goes, because what those prices are that day may drop down over time, because that's happened to me too when I first started doing it, where I bought items. I was like, oh, there's going to be a great profit margin. And then the next week, the market got flooded with everyone else buying those items. So you have to tread lightly with those. So if you're going to get into Amazon, then that was something I would say is, FBA, Amazon is a good step for retail arbitrage. But
yeah, so I want to put Richard up here because Richard does a lot of retail arbitrage. Richard's my main moderator at Drop Flips. Missy, he does videos on retail arbitrage. He does a lot of it. I think it depends on if you can do it. Like I just bought 14 slumber party dolls from Walmart because I have to go down the clearance aisle the once or twice a year I go to the store. My husband does all the grocery shopping, for those of you that don't know. So I bought 14 of them. I paid $20. They're selling for $45. I'm making about $15 a doll, but it was only 2 listings. They're brand new. I'm not going to have any complaints about them. I actually sold one over on Poshmark. So for me, that, I'm making less than what I spent, which is not typically what I do. But it really depends on where you're at. I live in the middle of nowhere. All I have is Walmart. If I lived in Gainesville by University of Florida and I had all the Targets and Walmarts and could go to Kohl's and Ross, it might be. But do you like it? Like, I don't like that stuff. I like the one-off. I like the vintage. I like the rare. So I would say it depends on what you want to do, really.
Just to add to that too, is if you source at Walmart for retail arbitrage, make sure you download the Walmart app and rescan their clearance items. Their clearance items will put a date on them. And if you see something that's on clearance that was marked on clearance like 2-3 months ago, that price point has actually dropped probably more. And there's a lot of times those clearance items that have been sitting there for a month or two are actually discounted even farther down because they do it on the computer and they don't actually do it on the price point. So they're actually what they call the secret discounted items at Walmart. So make sure you have the Walmart app to scan the items yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it really just there's retail arbitrage, like LL's doing his screen printing and designing. There's so many ways to go about like reselling or selling in general. You have to find what you like and what really, really works for you. All right, guys, we are past our time by a bit. I am going to make LL and Rebekah big. Let them tell you guys bye again. Their links are down in the chat if you are not following them already. So I will let them tell you what they've got coming up, and then I'll tell you who is here next week. Here, oop, Rod, I almost made you big because you're where LL was before. Here is LL.
I'm big, yay. Thanks for having me again, guys. Kat, I appreciate being on the show. It was a lot of fun. If you guys need more help specifically with Etsy, that's my main expertise. Make sure you guys check out handmadeandbeyond.com. I also have a podcast released weekly. Well, actually 2. There's 2 episodes a week. Usually I do a Tuesday episode, which I just did one today, and then a Friday episode. And then I have the YouTube channel as well at Handmade and Beyond, which I usually have throw in a couple more videos, at least try to do one YouTube only video a week with the other videos that I'm doing. So if you need more help with your Etsy business, your Etsy shop, that's where you guys can find me, and I'm happy to help you guys out.
Perfect. Here's Rebekah.
Thank you guys so much for having me on tonight. It's been fun interacting with everybody in the comments and the panelists as well. You guys have been great. So my name is Rebekah Allison, and I do have a YouTube. It's under that same name, Rebekah Allison, as well as my my Instagram as well. And I'm mostly on Poshmark, but I really specialize in selling clothing and then also teaching other people how to sell clothing. So I do a lot of thrifting on my YouTube channel. So there's lots of thrift with me, lots of thrift hauls. And then I also have a lot of informational videos about how to sell on Poshmark particularly, as well as I have some things on Mercari and eBay as well. But Poshmark, definitely my specialty. And I find I move a lot of clothing on there. So lots of wet solds, shipping with me, just kind of involving people in the whole, life cycle of being a clothing reseller. So if that interests you guys, I would love to have you guys come and join me over on YouTube. We're close to about 8,000 subscribers right now. So getting close there to 10K, which I would love. But yeah, most of what I do is on YouTube, and then I sell on Poshmark. So thank you guys so much for having me on tonight.
Perfect. Rod, what is going on in your world?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having these guests on tonight. So make sure you guys all go and subscribe to their channels. We can't do this show without our guests. So I just got back from getting married, so I have lots of bills to pay. So please go to my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, check it out. I do put up new videos every Tuesday and Friday. I answer every comment on my videos. Also, too, you can find me in Facebook, and you can find me on Instagram at Picking and Punching across the board. If you guys have any questions, concerns, or anything that we did not touch base on tonight, please feel free to send me a private message at any point in time. I do answer every single message that comes through. And also, too, make sure you guys like and subscribe, everyone on this channel. I'm still trying to fight Jake Paul, so I need about another 97,000 subscribers to get there so I can challenge him to a fight. So if you guys subscribe to the channel so we can make that happen, all right?
All right. What am I doing? Tomorrow night, I am going to be on Whatnot. 5 days a week, I'm on Whatnot. Sometimes 6 if I'm feeling froggy. I have not a lot, but there are quite a few vintage sterling bangles tomorrow night that are marked and signed, starting everything at $2 is what I've been doing the last week. And some gemstone stuff tomorrow as well. Thursday will be another What Sold video. And then I will get back to what everybody loves, the research videos on Sunday. And Rod and I, if any of you are going, $500,000 to grill, we are going to What the Hales get together this Saturday in my lovely tiny little town of Chiefland. So everybody has to come to my town for What the Hales get together. I just have to drive right up the road. So next week, we are going to have Rachel from Lily Works on, as well as Tiffany, my good friend Thrifting Vegas, is going to be on with us again. So it will be a fun show next week. Thank you all so much. Definitely check out these guys. I appreciate you guys coming on with us. Their link to their channels is in the description. We are here every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will see you next week. Bye for now, guys.